This is a great question. And it's an area of great concern, not only across the military, because it is of great concern to the military because we lose so many soldiers every day. But it's also of great concern of the populations that you work with every day, the high stress, dangerous, high intensity professions. You name them. I mean, this could apply to a bus driver. You know, the last job I would ever want is be a bus driver for a high school. That would be high stress to me. So, and then people react to stress differently. You know, so the question is, how do we decompress? How do we de-stress after these incidents? How do we re-enter our social circles, like our family, our community, our schools, our churches? You know, these emotional intelligence control skills are the key. They're just as important after the fact as they are before the fact. Because we must be able to control the chatter in our heads. Because that's what, I mean, I think you've coined a great term. Because that if you think about it, that term, that chatter in your head, that's what gets people to turn to alcohol. That's where it gets people to turn and get aggravated with their spouse and domestic abuse, who withdraw and don't engage with kids, their children. And then those children grow up without that emotional support of one of their parents. So, you know, we must be able to control that chatter in our head, this constant rehashing, this rehashing mentally of a single significant event, but also mentally come to terms with the cumulative effects of many high stress events. It's the ability to go home and have dinner with your family, the ability to do PT in the morning or do physical training in the morning, to maintain physical fitness. Because if you're not physically fit, you're not going to be mentally fit. You can't deal with stress as easily, in my opinions, and I think there's a lot of science that backs that up. All these activities reinforce, in my opinion, this emotional intelligence skills that we're seeking for. You know, that I've relied on my whole career. Same drills. They're the same repetitive actions. You know, in order to put a weapon into action, you got to control your breathing. You got to focus your eyesight. You got to pay attention to the little things. Well, to talk to your spouse after a hard day, you've got to control your breathing. You got to focus on her. You've got to listen to what the problem is, not your problem. Be empathetic to what she's trying to tell you. So building those emotional support groups, just as important as building that trained and ready infantry squad. It's just as important. You've got to get this repetitive action that people know and can expect. You've got to be able to self-regulate your own self-awareness, that even though you know you're tired, you've expended your word count, but you have to have enough of self-awareness and then regulate your emotions to walk in your house and turn the right switch back on. The dad switch, the husband switch. Because at home, you're not that commander. You're not that leader. You're not that police officer. You're not that soldier. At home, your dad or my honey, my husband. Different roles, different emotional skill sets that you need. But you can master them the same way that we talk about every day.